Okay, today we're doing Masters of the Market episode where what we do is in Philadelphia, as you know, as anybody that's been watching this and certainly following it knows that we find people that are absolute killers and experts at their niche. We get them on here and we ask them questions because most people find these guys, I don't know, they're afraid to talk to them. I don't know what it is, but we like to bring them to you. And I got, one of the biggest ones. I'm sure you can't say Philadelphia real estate without saying Noah Ostroff. So without further ado, Noah, thank you for coming to this. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I have some, I'm really interested in probably the questions I'm going to ask and the answers I'm going to get. So thank you.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
So Noah Ostroff, I can run down some of the criteria. Obviously, the Philly Living Team, is that correct? The Philly Living Team is your brand, is what you guys do. So you guys are in a massive brokerage inside of not just Philadelphia, but you guys have been outside the state. You guys have about 10 teams at this point. You guys have done about $200 million in sales. Center City, Bryn Mawr, Bluebell, Media, 3 in Florida. What else did I miss? Any in there? There's so many. What other offices did I miss in there?
Got a couple in New Jersey.
A couple in New Jersey. You can't go anywhere at this point on the East Coast without finding somewhere that has to do with Noah Ostroff, but obviously your roots are in Philadelphia, right?
Yes, that's our main hubs out of Philadelphia.
Okay, and that's where you were born, raised type thing?
Born and raised, yeah.
Okay, so Philly guy, true and true. So obviously anybody watching this knows the name, and obviously just people are going to tune in just because your name's on it. Let me ask some questions, Noah. When did you get in the game? What got you into this game? How did you get into real estate?
So when I graduated college, I worked for a large home builder as a project manager for them for about 2 or 3 years, and then subsequently another large home builder as a construction manager and project manager for a year or two. So that's how I originally started in the business. I knew back when I was graduating college, real estate was booming, so I knew I wanted to do that. And then later on in my career, I decided to transition out of the project management phase of things and get into sales. So I did about a year or so in sales starting in 2008 until I realized I need to get back into development as well and do both. So now I do both. Now I have a sales organization called Philly Living, but our parent company is Global Living. So we have about 35 agents that work on our team, about 15 staff members at this point. And I also have a brokerage, Keller Williams Philly, where we have about 150 agents as well. Then additionally, we have a development company where we develop new construction homes. We develop multifamily and mixed-use homes that we would keep in our portfolio. So sort of the 3-tier business plan is the sales, the new construction flips or the new construction sales, and the stuff that we keep in our rental portfolio for the long-term wealth building stuff.
Okay, so you get to touch on every aspect of this business. So you mentioned a very interesting year, which was '08, right? With market, you're doing sales, market goes insane, once in a lifetime type stuff. Yeah. So what have you been seeing? So you've been doing new development, you've been doing a ton of sales, and you have rental property. So like, what have you been seeing that the market's from 2008 till now? Like, tell me about how you're seeing it transition. Where do you think we are in the next cycle, et cetera?
So 2008 was a great time and a horrible time to get into the market. It was a bad time to get into the market because the market was not good in Philadelphia. So sales were not as easy to come by. The good thing is I didn't know any better, and so I had to learn the right things to do, how to go out and lead generate, how to go out and really hustle and work hard to get my business. And I always thought the market was good. I remember saying in 08, 09, and 2010, I said, if this is a bad market, I can't wait till the good market, because to me it felt like a good market. Yeah. It was because the people that were working hard and doing the right things did well, and that's going to be the case in any market. So obviously right now we're in a fantastic market. We are probably 10 years into a 7-year real estate cycle, so we're overdue for a market correction, in my opinion. The market
I love that way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, the market in Philadelphia is very strong. We're at the lowest inventory that we've been since 2004. So inventory accumulation in Philadelphia is about 4 months. So there's a 4-month supply of inventory in all of Philadelphia. In Center City area, it's even lower than that. So 4 months supply of inventory means it's a seller's market. So 6-month supply of inventory is kind of the dividing line between buyer and seller market. Once it's over a 6-month supply of inventory, it's more of a buyer's market, and under 6 months is more of a seller's market. And what that means, it's supply and demand. So there is not as much supply as there is demand. So what that means is sellers have the upper hand, and in turn, they're raising prices on stuff. And what happens, what typically follows that is the buyers go on the sidelines for a little bit because they think the market is a little bit overinflated, and then stuff sits on the market for a little bit longer, and then the market shifts a little bit from a seller's market into a buyer's market. So I think that we're due for a market correction within the next year, within the next 2 years or less, I would say, in Philadelphia. And it's not going to be for any kind of major economic reasons like we had last time. I think it's just more going to be just for, a market correction, and it won't be as bad as it was last time. We're not going to see a great recession again. We're just going to see a little bit of a dip. So the good thing about Philadelphia, I'm not sure where the audience is from, but in Philadelphia, we have a lot of factors working in the opposite direction. So the market here in Center City and in Philadelphia is booming. There's a lot of great restaurants and stores and commercial, and a lot of big companies coming to the area, and the hospitals are expanding, and a lot of people are moving to the city, and a lot of developers and builders are coming here too. So even if and when the market does start to creep down a little bit, we have a lot of forces that are kind of working in the opposite direction to continue to push us back up. So we're actually geared to be in a pretty good condition for a while.
Yeah, I like that. And it's funny, all the guys that I talk to, and you really, you want to get the perspectives from guys that are moving stuff in this market, right? Like, and I don't, there's nothing wrong with anybody that's not moving a lot of stuff, but the value of somebody that's done 3 or 4 deals as to where the market's going isn't going to hold the same weight as somebody that does hundreds and hundreds. That's part of the market, creating the market. So everybody I've spoken with that's been on this is about the same timeline that you are. And I agree with it. I mean, I see it. We lend to a lot of properties, man, and I see a lot of different investors, and like, certain things don't make sense right now. Certain things definitely don't make sense. I like it. We're 10 years into a 7-year correction. That's the reality of it. So 12 to 18 months is what I typically hear, say under 2 years. So, but also, the last time we saw this, and you and I got in the game at the same time, in that 08 area, which was, I always look at that and say there was a perfect storm then, because the outside catalyst was also real estate. Like typically let's say you have the .com boom that then affects real estate. You have but it was real estate affecting real estate, which was that crazy, overnight shift of money. So I would think and hope that the same thing, which is you're going to go a little bit more stagnant. I think the interest rates rising from the Fed will slow money down a little bit. FHA is going to be a little more expensive to buy a house, but and stuff doesn't happen overnight. That slows money down, but it doesn't crash the market. So really interesting perspective from a guy doing new development, moving that many sales in Philadelphia. And you're right, Philly was stable through 08. Way more than a lot of the other cities, and there's a lot of forces working against it, which is a really good way to put it to you. Some really, really good ways of putting some stuff there. So what are you doing in your business then? So this is what you're predicting is coming. What are you doing to like changes? Are you doing anything different? Are you shifting some of your focuses or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably a little more conservative than most people, which is good for my clients as well, because I'm more conservative with them too, so they know that if I say give them the green light to do a deal, they're going to make money on it. I think we were one of the first developers to be focusing on the high-end luxury market in Philadelphia, new construction. And we started, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago or so, something like that. And we didn't have any competition. We were literally I think we were actually the only people doing $1 million plus homes.
Okay.
There wasn't a market for it 4 years ago. So, you could buy land relatively reasonably priced and do $1 million homes. And there was a lot of people moving from the suburbs wanting to be in those, larger homes, and a lot of younger professionals that wanted to stay in the city that had young families that did not want to move to the suburbs. So we had a pretty good market, a pretty good niche for what we were doing. So we had a good run for three years or so, maybe a little bit longer. And then everybody started they saw the success that we were having, and then everybody started to get into that $1 million plus price point.
Okay.
Not only did they see the success we were having, but also because land values were going up so much, the only product type that you really could build were the $1 million plus homes. Because if you're buying a lot for $500,000, you can't sell a house for $600,000 because, the cost to build just pushes you up into that upper price point. So I think a lot of developers were forced to be in that $1 million plus price point just because of the price of lots. And also, they were they were seeing the success that that price point had. So because I work with a lot of the developers in the city, I see what's coming to the market before it ever hits the market. So about a year or so ago, I saw a ton of inventory about to hit the market at the higher price point, over $1 million and some over $2 million. And I just felt that there was too much competition and maybe going to be too much inventory. And I was slightly afraid there might not be enough buyers to fill all of those houses. So we decided to get into an area where there was zero competition. I shouldn't say zero, but less competition. And that was in more of the $400,000 price point, the $350,000 to $400,000 price point. We were doing condos. So we're working on a project now. We're halfway through it. It's 48 condos down around 12th and Bainbridge. And we don't have any competition because there's just no new construction at that price. So if you want to buy new construction in that general vicinity, we're the only game in town. So my strategy is really just go where nobody else is. And hey, when all the $1 million developers decide to get out of that price point, whenever that happens, whether it's this year or in 5 years, I'll go back to that. Say we don't have that. I mean, we have a project now that's like a $2.5 million houses that we're building in Society Hill.
Wow.
So I'm not that I'm totally out of that, but I'm really just trying to position myself where I have the least amount of competition that I know I can actually sell stuff for.
Wow. So that's interesting. That's a really interesting perspective. I didn't know that about you at all. So that you really did hedge where you were seeing, and you were paying very, very close attention to who was around you and so forth. And so Noah, if you can follow where Noah's going before or right after Noah gets there, that's a good
knowledge of the market is very important. I mean, and by the time the consumer sees what's going on or the news sees what's going on,
it's too late.
That's a lagging indicator of what's actually happening. You have to follow the leading indicators and really study what's happening in the market before it actually happens.
Yeah, being in the game is a difference. It's very important if you can be around it and live it and be in it versus, like you said, if a news article comes out, it's too late. It's over. It's done. It's just like CNN. When by the time you're hearing the CNN news from something nationally, it's already happened 6 months ago or whatever that may be. Same thing in a local market. Yeah. So let me ask this, Noah. There'll be 50, 60,000 people in. You asked where the listeners mainly are. They're in a lot in the Philadelphia market, Maryland, and DC. That's our listening.
Okay,
base.
cool.
So these guys are listening in this market. They're next to you, kind of thing. Let's say they're new. Let's say they're experienced. There's going to be some changes coming in the market. How does somebody protect themselves? How do they make the right decisions when they're buying a house? Do you suggest somebody gets into new construction or just says, hey, let me wait till the next cycle? Give somebody some tips to try to move forward in this business.
Are we talking who's the audience? Real estate agents, developers, buyers? Who do you want me to?
Developers and flippers, yeah.
Mostly developers and flippers. So I would say my advice as a developer is always be conservative. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. Okay, so be conservative. Price your homes where the market is going, not where the market is. And that's advice for any time of the market, meaning any time of the year too. So for us, like the spring market is the busier time of year. So if I'm pricing a home in August or September, I know that I can't price it based upon what we were doing in March, April, June, where the market was busy. I have to price it based upon the fall, where I know it's going to be slower. Same thing goes when you're towards the end of a real estate cycle and you're doing a development project that may not come to the market for a year or two. Think about where the market's going to be in a year or two and assume there's going to be a market correction, and prices probably won't be where they're at today in a year or two from now, based upon today's market. And, we could have said the same thing back in whenever the Great Recession was, like towards the end of those years. We could say, listen, in 2 years when I come to market with this project, the market's probably going to be better. But I always recommend staying conservative, not overextending yourself. Don't buy too many projects that are going to be too long of a time frame out. Try to, while the market's good right now, try to buy projects that are already approved if you can, so you can turn them around quicker, or buy the smaller to medium-sized developments that you can turn around in a year or so. The larger developments are great. There's a lot of times there's a lot of money in them, but it could take 2, 3, 4 years to get those to the market and be through the sales of those. So just be conservative. Don't be afraid to buy a good deal. If you're truly a real investor and developer, you have to wake up every day ready to buy a deal, because the deals don't come when you're ready to buy them. They come when they come.
That's right.
And they all seem to come at the same time too. So a lot of times we'll go a couple months, we're like, yeah, we just can't find any good deals. They're all overpriced, or we're just not getting a lot of deals. And then all of a sudden, we get more deals than we can handle all at the same time. We have to figure out how to get the money to put them together.
They never stagger a week at a time, do they?
They never stagger. Yeah. They never like, all right, I'll be ready for a project in 4 months, and all of a sudden, magically, the project appears. They come when you're not ready. So you need to be ready at all times and be ready to buy something every single day you come in. Not to say that you have the ability to, but in your mind, have the mindset that you need to be ready to go at any time.
Yeah, because if you're not, right, you miss one of those. I mean, numbers you're talking, you have a 48-unit condo conversion. I mean, I don't even want to talk about how much money that you're leaving on the table if you weren't ready to buy that. And, you just misses you completely. So that's a really good perspective. Let me ask this, though. So you, as well as being an expert in, obviously, development and so forth, you run an unbelievable team, Philly Living and Global Living and so forth. You guys are monsters in this area specifically. And so let me ask that question from the same perspective if I'm an agent, right? Now, this isn't really my forte or my world, but obviously a ton about it. An agent that's trying to hedge their bets in the future, how do they succeed into the coming changing market? I know they're at the height right now. All you got to do is say I'm an agent and you're making money. It's going to change. How do you structure your teams to prepare for that?
So we teach our agents, not only on our team, but in our brokerage, Keller Williams Philly, we teach them to be business people first and real estate agents second. So we teach you the things that you need to know about leverage, about wealth building, about administrative marketing, all the things that you need to do and know as a real estate agent. We're teaching people. We want the most knowledgeable agents in the market, and we want we want business-minded people that we could teach about real estate. And once we do that, and once we find the right people, we can structure the teams appropriately. So leverage is a big thing for us. So everybody has a job. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. There's over 200 different things that need to be done in a real estate transaction. And as real estate agents, we need to be good at all of them. We need to be good at lead generation, lead follow-up, working with buyers, working with sellers, listing appointments, marketing, SEO, administrative paperwork. I mean, there's so many different things that we have to be good at as real estate agents. And no matter what anybody thinks, we're not good at all of those things, especially when we have all those other things going on. So we have to understand the concept of leverage so that we can be effective and efficient doing all those things. But if I'm giving a real estate agent advice, you have to be ready for any market. And what I mean by that is you need to do the things that you should have been doing all along, and the market shouldn't matter. So when the market goes down, if you're doing those things, you actually should take over more market share. And those things, it's really just one thing. It's lead generation. You need to go to work every day as if you're going to work trying to get a job and trying to get hired. And that's what lead generation is. And if you do that every day consistently, if you time block for it, and you focus every single morning on generating leads and growing your business. Nobody ever went out of business from having too many leads, right?
That's right.
So if you focus your business on that, whether the market's good or whether the market's bad, you will always survive in the market. And frankly, I'm looking forward to the market turning in some ways, because that, the greatest transfer of wealth happens during a down market. So we're positioning ourselves so if and when the market does go down, we're providing more value, a better experience for not only agents, but also for our clients as well, so that we can take over even more market share if and when the market does change.
That's really good. I mean, I always say that with in this business is you can learn, it's so easy to learn the logistics of real estate in terms of how a transaction works and so forth, if you're good at executing. And then what, right? You learn that in 3 months. Where are your leads? That's it, man. You live and die by your lead sources. And that's really
it goes for any business. That's not just real estate.
Right. We're all in the business of marketing. That's it. I mean, why we're doing this video, why you're doing, that's it. We're in the business of marketing. The knowledge and you learn it in 3 months. Hopefully you don't get killed during those 3 months in terms of making a mistake. But once you learn what you're doing, whether it's wholesaling, whether it's new development might take more than 3 months, but flipping a house, somebody flips a house, you're gonna learn how to do that within a couple of transactions. But I don't care how good at flipping a house you are if you can't flip the houses, if you don't have houses to flip, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Be around people that support you, that are motivated. Get in the right mindset. Go to training, as many training events as you can every year. Get a coach, and just be persistent and consistent in everything you do.
Yes. Spoken well. So if let's say I'm an agent and I want to come work for Global Living, Philly Living, or I've got a deal, I got land, I say Noah's got to buy this land. How do I get in contact with you, or your organization to say, hey, this is what I got?
If you have land, if you have deals, bring me the deals. Noah@phillyliving.com. If you're a real estate agent or you're thinking about getting your license, email me, Noah@phillyliving.com, whether it's on my team or at our brokerage, Keller Williams Philly, or if you just want to come to some of our training classes. We have 35 training classes every single month that we hold at our brokerage, and it's open to all agents all over the place, any brokerage. And if you're not an agent, you can come too. We do commercial classes. We do how to invest in multifamily properties. We teach a lot about wealth building, a lot of business type classes. Email me, Noah@phillyliving.com, and we'd love to have a conversation with you.
And that's NOAH, correct?
Yes.
NOAH@phillyliving.com. Well, Noah, I'm so it completed the people that I had to have on this show. I had to find Noah Ostroff for Philly real estate. It just wasn't going to be complete without you. So I really appreciate you coming down. Everybody, if you didn't take anything away from this, you shouldn't be in this business, because Noah just dropped some good nuggets on you. And obviously, a lot of people that watch this, me. I'm Ian Walsh with Hard Money Bankers, and Ian@hardmoneybankers.com. Noah, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
You got it, man.